Today I want to continue talking to you about how to handle the seasons of life. I want you to discover how God uses breakdowns to create breakthroughs so we can break out into a new season of victory with the Lord on our side. Now on Tuesday, June 2nd, we discovered that no matter how disappointing or bleak things may seem, just remember Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, and that God is still in the business of resurrecting things even when they seem disappointing. Today I want to look at what happens during the second season as we focus on what Mary and Martha experienced that I'm calling the waiting season for hope. The waiting season for hope. In John 11:6 it says, "Yet when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days." Jesus does exactly what you would not expect him to do. That's why the Bible is an authentic record of what really happened, because I don't think if you were trying to get people to follow an imaginary teacher that you would make stories up like this. 2 days later? But Jesus had a purpose through the pain, and the purpose had everything to do with Mary and Martha's faith, like it has to do with your faith today. Then 2 days later, in verse 7 it says, "Then he said to his disciples, 'Let's go back to Judea.'" Now in order to get to Bethany where Lazarus is at, they had to go through Judea. But Judea is a place where the Jews had been very hostile to Jesus and the disciples. Basically, they knew if you were a follower of Jesus, you're not a popular person in Judea with the Jews in that city. So the disciples said, "But Rabbi, listen to these great pillars of faith that would be called saints someday, and we would name our kids after them. But Rabbi," they said, "a short while ago, the Jews tried to stone you, and yet you're going to go back there?" They made it sound like they didn't want something to happen to Jesus, but they were more worried about themselves, even though they had seen Jesus do miraculous things. They just didn't want to deal with the drama, like sometimes we are when it comes to the drama of our own faith in our own lives. Now in John 11:11 it says, "After he had said this, he went on to tell them, 'Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm going there to wake him up.'" Verse 12 says, "His disciples replied, 'Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better.' If he's sleeping, he's getting better. So Jesus, we really don't need to go there," is basically what the disciples were saying. But in verse 13, it says Jesus had been speaking of his natural death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. Now in verse 14 it says, "So then he told them plainly, 'Lazarus is dead.'" So here are the disciples of Jesus thinking to themselves, "Okay, Jesus, you've healed strangers. You've healed a woman that you didn't even know who just touched the hem of your garment and you healed her. You healed children, and then the centurion, we just don't like the Romans, yet Jesus, when it comes to the centurion guard, you just said the word and his servant was healed immediately." So this is very confusing to us, the disciples thought, because we all thought you loved Lazarus. You knew him, and now you're telling us he's dead? And now we have to go to Bethany where possibly we might die on the way and possibly join him? How many of you can relate to that in your trial or your circumstance or your difficult storm? Maybe you said like, "Hey God, I tithe. I don't sin like that person. I do this or that," and you still feel very confused during that season of waiting. Probably one of the strangest verses in the New Testament is found in John 11:15, which says, "And for your sake, I'm glad I was not there." Jesus said, "For your sake, I'm glad I was not there." I can only wonder if one of the disciples or perhaps several were thinking to themselves, "But Jesus, what about Lazarus' sake? What about Mary's sake and Martha's sake?" The disciples thought to themselves, "We've been sitting here for 2 days around the campfire, and Mary and Martha are probably wondering, where are you, Jesus? Why haven't you come?" They may have already had the funeral, and now, Jesus, you have the nerve to say to us, "I'm glad I was not there for the death. I wasn't there for the mourning. I wasn't there for the pain, the confusion, and anger." And then you say, "For our sake, you're glad." This doesn't make any sense. This is the moment you know that you're living under a waiting season for hope. Hope is a 4-letter word the devil hates. So during your waiting season, don't waver in your faith. Stay the course. Fight the good fight. And remember, in those moments where you feel there are no answers to your prayers or there are no solutions to your pain, and your pain is so real that you feel like your future's not there and that everything seems really bad, just remember that sometimes you're going to go through the third season. And I'm going to talk more about the third season on Tuesday, June the 9th, which is how to handle the season of despair in your life as we continue to look at the encounter Mary and Martha had with Jesus. God bless you, and while you're waiting, continue to keep talking to Jesus, just like Mary and Martha did, as they dealt with a difficult situation while they waited. May the Lord be with you, and go in his peace, knowing that in Christ Jesus, no matter what we face, hope is alive. Love you and have a wonderful day.